Hey, what's going on? This is Marcos. Today we're going to be taking a look at the FeiyuTech AK4000. It's this beast of a thing right here. You can see it's pretty awesome. It's got a good size to it. And, let me rotate it so you can take a good look. It does not come with this handle. This is something that was also sent to me. Just a disclaimer, this product was sent to me for review. Also this handle. This is something that I'll talk about later, why it's so important. But first of all, let's talk about the gimbal size, which is not actually a bad thing. Some people don't like to carry big gimbals. I have a Saiyan Crane V2. This is this one right here. And by comparison, this thing feels like a toy. So lightweight. And I just feel like I'm upgrading. Also, this thing, when I had it, when you're using it, this thing gets in the way of looking at the back of the screen. On the other hand, if you look at this one, it's tilted, so you can see the back of the screen just fine. There's no need to look over just to look at the screen. So that's some great thing about this little gimbal. It is trying to compete with the Ronin S and the Crane 2. I haven't used those gimbals, so just be aware of that. This is just from comparing what I've used in the past, which is the Crane V2 and this one. When it comes to balancing this thing, it's pretty easy. It didn't take me long to balance it. There's some great tutorials from FeiyuTech on how to do it. Once you get it set, you're pretty much ready to roll. It only takes a couple minutes. Standard, it comes with the 501 plate by Manfrotto. I attach I think this is the RC2 system. I have this on all my tripods and monopods. It allows me to quickly snap the camera in place and switch it from all my support systems. So that's pretty cool. If we turn it on, there it is. Boop, boop, boop. Let me turn it around. There you see. There it is. This thing can hold up to 8.8 pounds, which is overkill for most of the stuff I'm doing. If you have a DSLR camera, mirrorless camera, you're not gonna use all those pounds. This system right here that I have is the A7 III with the Tamron 28-75, and then I added the quick release system. That's about 3 pounds, maybe a little bit less. I've seen I was looking at B&H Photo, I was looking at reviews from customers, and one of them had the Sony FS5 Mark II mounted on this thing. So it was like such a big beast. That's a lot of weight to hold, that this thing can take on. The battery life is about 12 hours, which is more than most of us need. I've been on 10-hour shoots and the battery was draining by the end of the day. But then that was very rare. Most of the time, I'm just using it for a couple of hours at a time. This thing is touchscreen. If you get it to work with your phone, which I haven't, by the way, I'll talk about the quirks later. You can adjust the white balance, the ISO, and what else? You can change some of the settings here. I haven't really played around with it just because for what I'm doing, most of the stuff is just here. It's touchscreen. You see that? For most of the stuff that I'm doing is just this. I'm just following people around, the subject around, and so I don't really need any fancy effects. It is good to know all of them. There's HF, which is the standard. This is what you're gonna use like 90% of the time. There's TF. This one, let me show you. It just basically follows the gimbal, and then they all follow. This is pretty cool because it allows you to rotate the gimbal all the way on its head. Now you can go down low, so that's pretty cool. You can do some auto rotations. You can also lock it. Whoa, what the heck was that? You see, this is one of the things about this gimbal. Sometimes it does weird things like what it did right now. I hit the LK and it just, I don't know why it did that, but good thing we can quickly fix that. Let's switch it back to HF. This is what I use most of the time. Okay, so maybe this is a good time to talk about the quirks. Like I said, it has a mind of its own. I had issues when sometimes I'm shooting weddings and I'm keeping it straight like this. I'm keeping it down the aisle, and then it starts shifting to the left, always to the left. And then I move the joystick and I center it again, and then it starts moving to the left, but it's off axis. Right now it's straight on axis, but it starts moving off axis, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. So I've had that issue a couple times. Also, I haven't been able to connect it to my phone. It keeps erroring. That's how you say that word, erroring out. It says it failed, and I have pretty fast internet, so I'm not sure why that's happening. If you can connect it, then you can control the ISO and the white balance, but not the shutter speed or the aperture for that. I don't know why, why only the ISO and the white balance. Okay, but you can activate the record button. I was able to do that. There's some wires you can connect to your camera, but then that stopped working. I'm not sure why. Let me see. Oh, I've had an issue where I turn it on and it starts shaking by itself, even though the camera, it's perfectly balanced. And then I turn it off, turn it back on, and the shakiness goes away. Then sometimes it happens again. So I'm not sure why that is happening, but again, something that you should be aware about. Something that I would love to see on this gimbal more is more mounts. It only has 1/4 inch in the front. I had this cold shoe mount that I had lying around, and I put it here because this is where I mount my wireless lab system that goes into the camera. This handle, super necessary. Buy it if you can, or buy something where you can attach other stuff, or to get an extra handle on this thing, because otherwise, my hand, I don't have big hands, and this one takes up the majority of the handle. If I go up more, then I'm touching the touch screen, which you can lock it here, but still it's, I'm not gonna pull my hand here. So let me unlock it. So it's good to have extra support whenever you're doing certain moves like this guy right here, or let's say you're like me, I switch the shutter speed with my right hand, or change the aperture, something like that. It's good to have an extra handle. So this is a lifesaver. This is by Digital Photo. It was sent to me, and it also comes with this swivel arm, and this is where I mount my Andy Cine monitor. Just throw it in here and wire it up, and now I have an external monitor when it's really bright outside. For the most part, I'm not using it unless it gets really bright outside and I can't see the back of that screen. Some of the accessories that you're gonna get in the box is this extension tube, which I really haven't used it. Also, these legs are great. They're pretty awesome. They're not cheap, they're pretty awesome. The joystick itself, everything is pretty smooth. It can do a 360-degree turn. Also, the pan and the tilt is pretty smooth, so I don't have any complaints about this here. You can also control it with this other joystick right here. You can change the settings, how it tilts. You can rotate up and down. So just from looking at this thing, I wish that FeiyuTech had put more 1/4 inch mounts here along this. Just that way I could put this monitor on this side. If there was a 1/4 inch thread here, that would have been super cool, but they didn't. Or they could have made something like a ring like this one that I bought from Seiyun Crane. This goes on my Crane V2, but when I try to put it on this thing is not thick enough. So what I'm gonna have to do is put some tape around it. That way I can attach this ring, and that way I can get more 1/4 inch mounts around here. It's the only way, because I'm hoping to get the monitor on this side, or maybe get some other accessories that I've been wanting to attach to this thing. Some other accessories that you can buy with this are the follow focus, which is really not something that I am thinking about right now. I don't think I would actually use it, but some of you might if you're using manual focus lenses. They also have a dual grip handles, which you can actually get for free, included in the packaging. If you buy it through Amazon, I believe it's just included, and I wish they would have included that for me, but in this case they didn't. I like those dual grip handles because they allow you to be more creative, and you can actually get some creative moves. Overall, this gimbal is great. It gives you super smooth shots. I love the panning, how smooth the panning and the tilt is. I use this a lot in my work. However, there are some quirks to this. I wonder if it's just me. When I was first starting to learn this, I was looking at gear reviews for this gimbal, and everyone mentioned only good things about it. There were actually a couple people mentioned that you can't really customize the motors, right? So you can't quite change how fast or slow or how responsive this thing is. I haven't, those have not been my issues. My issues has been more with this thing moving on its own, or just vibrating, or not connecting to my phone. So I wonder if I'm the only person experiencing this. If you own this gimbal, please let me know down in the comment section if you're experiencing something similar. Also, you know, what do you guys think about this gimbal? Would you get it? Personally, you know, I haven't played with too many gimbals, but I know I'll be continuing to use this in my line of work. I might actually purchase the dual handle grip, just because I think that's cool, and I know I could potentially attach more stuff to it. All right, this does it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please drop them down below. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so right now. And as always, I appreciate you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.